Hello, welcome to Deep Dive. I'm Kevin Benedict, Senior Vice President of Solution Strategy here at Regalix, and I want to thank all of you for joining us. I'm so excited to have today as our guest, Dan Bingham, who's the Head of Content Marketing at Micron. Dan, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me, Kevin.
So Dan,
happy holidays, by the way.
I'm here in Boise, Idaho. You can tell because everybody in Boise wears bow ties, but where are you at today?
Yeah, all my colleagues, they all wear bow ties, so of course, I mean that's the normal attire in the Boise office.
So where are you calling in from today, Dan?
So I'm in Folsom, California, so on the outskirts of Sacramento, in the foothills. So beautiful weather here in California.
Oh, that's terrific. Well, we're gonna maybe have snow here by Saturday, so it'll be interesting. So Dan, talk to us, for those that don't know you yet, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so obviously I'm at Micron now, but I spent 17 years prior to Micron at Intel. And that's really where I kind of learned a lot of my expertise in marketing and communications. I've been at Micron about 3.5 years now. So it's been a great change. Similar industry, but a lot of exciting new opportunities with Micron.
Oh yeah, and Micron is headquartered here in Boise, so we're familiar, and I know a lot of people that work there. But boy, has Micron went through a lot of changes over the last 5 years.
Oh yeah, especially the last 1.5 years. I mean, we have a whole new management team, of course, as you know. New CEO, new CFO, we have a new chief business officer, new business unit lead. So a lot of change at Micron, but I think it's a very positive change. And things there's a new sense of urgency and a lot of new energy here. So it's a lot of exciting things happening.
So talk to us about, with change and with everything that's changing within just the marketing area, not just with Micron, you in the marketing, talk to us about what you've seen change here recently in high-tech marketing.
Yeah, this is something that we have really been talking a lot internally about, and it's this new marketing landscape. I've seen some reports out there that talk about this idea that you really need to be more customer obsessed, and I think that's the biggest change happening right now is really understanding your audience much better than you've ever had to do before, and that requires a shift in the way that you do your marketing. So I think that's probably the biggest thing, and there's a lot of things that go with that.
Oh, so not only being customer obsessed, but your customer base is changing rapidly, isn't it?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's changing rapidly as much as it's shifting. So we're seeing a lot of big customers that are needing a lot of memory and storage solutions, and there's an unending appetite for these solutions right now. And so people are starting to realize that memory and storage are no longer an afterthought, that it is really, truly a central part of their system. And with all the data that's out there now that's being generated and collected, it's so incredibly important that you can get through all that data quickly. Otherwise, it's just cold data and it's not meaningful.
Oh, yeah, when I hear edge computing, I think of Micron. When I think of artificial intelligence and pushing more of that AI out to the edge as well, I think of memory and Micron. So I could just, there's all these different things, and robotics, of course, all of that stuff. To me, every time I see that, I'm like, yes, go Micron.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think what's interesting for me, having spent so much time at Intel, where the CPU was the center, right, and the computing was really evolved around the CPU, that's changing now, where it's become data-centric. And really the bottleneck is getting access to that data much more quickly. And if you can't get access to that data quickly, then it's impossible to get through all of it and process it and get some insights out of it. So that's really, I think, the one of the largest shifts that's benefiting Micron.
Oh yeah, when I think of autonomous anything, that there can't be the latency of transmitting data to some data center on the other side of the planet. I keep thinking of, that's where the memory has to reside right there if you're going to get that kind of zero latency real-time interactions on
Yep.
vehicles and all kinds of things.
Move everything closer to compute. That's the game right now. And for us, of course, what we're seeing a big shift in is that nothing's really off the shelf anymore. You really need customized solutions. You need an expert to help you, architect systems. It's no longer this commodity business where you can just order a part out of a catalog. You really need to have a much more specialized solution and someone that knows how this stuff works to help these companies manage the data.
Wow. So I'm thinking here, specialized and customized solutions, that's going to be hard for a guy like you who's head of content marketing. What kind of content do you create if everything is kind of customized and specialized? And so talk to me about how you've seen the whole content marketing area rise over the last few years.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I started the content marketing team about a little over a year ago, and when I remember bringing this up with our staff, it was this new term a lot of people hadn't heard about. And content marketing as a concept's been around forever. It's not new. It just wasn't called content marketing. But I've learned quite a bit even within the last year, and I think the biggest thing about content marketing is companies are starting to really understand that content could be a very strategic asset for your company and for your brand. So for us, I think we're really starting to figure this out. And when it comes down to it, one of the biggest reasons we're doing content marketing at Micron is we want to drive more engagement with our audience. That's I think the shift that we're making right now is how do we get audiences that existing audiences that we know about and who we've been talking to for a long time, but also new audiences that we're trying to embrace and broadening kind of the horizon and helping people understand a little bit more about Micron and the brand.
Okay, so in what kinds of assets are you using? Are you using like video? Are you using kind of product walkthroughs? Are you using, use case? What do you include in that bucket of content? Content.
Yes.
Marketing?
So I think that right now, I mean, we started small because we're still learning and figuring out how we want to do this. But one of the biggest things that we did, our entire marketing team, not just the content team, to redefine our brand promise. Really looked at what it is, what does Micron stand for, what do we actually add to the world? And I think that right there is one of the biggest changes where we now have a new brand promise that's much more aspirational. And is actually the promise that we're using right now is it's intelligence accelerated. And it's this idea that our company Micron is really critical to this moving raw data into actual insights and then getting intelligence out of those insights. So we're playing a pivotal role in that whole process. So,
wow. So one of the things that content marketing often does is kind of educate the market to bring the market up to speed so then they can have those kind of engaging conversations with you. If you look at all your tasks around content marketing, how much of it is around just educating the market?
Well, so actually right now, one of the big initiatives for us is two things. It's creating more awareness for Micron, and it's changing perception of Micron. So Micron's been around for 40 years. As you know, it's our 40-year anniversary this year.
Yeah.
Started in a dental office in Boise. But to be honest, especially internationally, the brand is not as well known as it should be. We're a $30 billion company, yet we still have a lot of instances where people just don't know who we are and they don't know what we do. So one of the things we're really trying hard to do is to build that awareness, but also to try to help people understand what it is that we contribute. So when I talked about this idea of this new brand promise, the way we're bringing that to life on my team, or from what my team does, we're building what we call narrative stories. So we establish these three narratives, these pillars, these topical areas that we can kind of hang our hat on, if you will, and then we write stories underneath those narratives that help us to present ourselves in a new way. So I'll give you an example of that. So Whereas before, maybe we really focused in on talking about an SSD and the speeds of that SSD and some of the different features. These stories are really more about things like how artificial intelligence is really changing the game when it comes to cancer research.
Mm-hmm.
And in that realm of cancer research, memory and storage are playing a very critical role, because we're allowing researchers and doctors to get through so much more data so much more quickly and actually gain insights out of that data and find cures and different solutions. So one of the articles that we just wrote that we published was about this exact topic, and about a woman who is a genomics researcher who herself was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. And her colleague of hers at the university wrote a machine learning algorithm that allowed her to go through all of her own genomic data, and as a result she was able to look at it and suggest to her doctor a new immunotherapy treatment, which then now she's in remission. So she essentially used big data and data analysis to kind of find a solution for herself.
Wow.
And so we're writing about these types of topics, right? And showing people how what we do at Micron really does have impact in the world.
Oh, that's phenomenal. So you take that content, let me ask you this, are you seeing a demand by your customers and prospects out there for different kinds of content today than perhaps in the past? You know, are you guys doing more video, or are you doing more, what kinds of content do you think is rising in popularity, and which ones are decreasing?
Yeah, so for sure, the types of content, we're moving more towards video as much as we can. It's, we're still trying to figure out how to do that. We have a YouTube channel. We have obviously social channels. So video for sure. I think we're also looking at more thought leadership type of content, where it's executive blogging. We started a brand new physical event in San Francisco this year called Micron Insight. And that was the first time we'd ever done anything like this, where we actually brought a bunch of industry leaders together. And we didn't just talk about, speeds and feeds. We talked about how memory and storage and technology and the industry is working together to solve huge problems, right? And so it was a really interesting event. So those
I read a lot about that when it was popping up on LinkedIn, various little articles and images when it came out from that event. Fascinating discussions.
Yeah, so we're all connected together, right? Whether it's advertising, our new thought leadership program, the new content program. We have a new digital strategy where we just rolled out a brand new Micron.com. A lot going on right now on the marketing side for us.
Oh, yes. So talk to me about thought leadership. That was a perfect segue. So, what do you guys, how much value do you put in thought leadership? Do you see that? And where do you think that, how do you think that helps Micron?
Yeah, thought leadership is kind of this cliche. Everyone uses this term.
Yeah.
For us, it really means we believe that we have a lot of expertise in the company that hasn't been vocalized. We haven't really communicated enough about really what we know, and we believe we can add a lot to the conversation in the industry. So for us, it's really about establishing, some of our leadership through these big topics that the industry is trying to tackle, because for the last 40 years we haven't really been more of this heads down engineering type of company, and now I think we're trying to shift to explaining a little bit more about some of the bigger areas that we can help.
Well, I can imagine that you can go into every different wing of your campus there at Micron, open the door, and there's all kinds of heroes whose stories have just not been told.
Yeah, I mean, of course, on the product side, where we've told a lot, we've had a lot of innovation, through acquisitions and through other types of activities. We've actually either created ourselves or acquired around 40,000 patents over the last 40 years. So incredible amount of IP here at the company. And so our job right now on the marketing side is let's start getting those stories out. Let's also start establishing some leadership for personalities at the company, some of our leaders, and let them be out there a little bit more. So like our CEO, we're putting him out there a lot more than we ever have before, at different types of events. And so that's a good thing for Micron.
Oh yeah, it's so interesting because it changes the dynamics of what a board looks like today too. When they're looking for a CEO, is it somebody up through the ranks who's an engineering genius, or do they look for somebody that can tell the story a little bit more effective? So I mean, it changes business in so many different ways.
Yeah, for sure.
Has Micron embraced the concept of B2B influencer marketing at all? Are you looking to
Yes.
partner with influencers?
We are starting to do some of this, and some of our business units are doing it already. In particular, our storage business unit is doing a lot more of this. So we are looking at doing influencer programs, particularly in social influencers. Finding those experts that can kind of speak on our behalf or advocate for us. So the answer is yes, and I think we're still new in that journey.
So walk us through, Dan, from the time you came to Micron, how have you seen kind of the whole marketing strategy shift in your industry and at Micron?
So it was very interesting. When I first started at Micron, it was a big change for me coming from Intel. Intel's got a brand that's very well known. They've got a lot of marketing resources, at least a lot more than Micron. And so a lot of things that you take for granted just weren't in place at Micron. So it was a very big shift for me, but I really do like where I'm at. I think Micron's in a really good spot. I think from our marketing perspective, we're learning a lot, but we're also we have a lot of really great people in our marketing organization, and we're starting to kind of let us explore new horizons, if you will.
Oh, fascinating.
We're starting new programs. We're starting, like I mentioned, our marketing organization has actually had some change where we've added new strategic areas like thought leadership, like more of a digital strategy. The content marketing is a new area for us as well.
Got it. So, on Regalix TV, I interview a lot of CMOs, a lot of leaders around marketing and things. And some of these guys have incredibly complex kind of marketing technology stacks now that do all kinds of, from demand generation to email systems and servers to personalization and systems that will monitor how you use personal data so you can be GDPR compliant. All these different technology stacks. Walk us a little bit about what your marketing stack looks like these days.
Yeah, this whole area of MarTech is going crazy. It's a little bit overwhelming, to tell you the truth. If you've ever seen any of those slides that show all the logos of the different companies in the space, it's pretty incredible. So for us, we're trying to figure this out as well. We've been doing a lot of research into the new marketing tools that we need. And I think what we're finding is that there's a reason that all these companies are popping up. They're trying to solve a problem that you can't solve with the traditional tools. So right now, we have a number of tools we use. Some are legacy tools that we're trying to either change or adapt, and some are brand new tools we're bringing on around content management platforms, as well as asset management. Trying to be much better about managing our assets in one location. So quite a few, again, it's companies like Micron, where it's a larger company, you've got a lot of established systems. Sometimes that takes more time to integrate, but we're definitely moving towards the right solutions, and we're moving in the right direction, I should say.
Oh, that's exciting there. Now, you had mentioned and talked about the notion of a corporate strategy or a corporate narrative, I think was the word you were using.
Yep.
So Micron is multinational, you're around the world, you've got locations all over Europe and Asia. How do you and your customer base is all over the world. So how do you manage that, the complexity of having a corporate narrative in multiple languages across multiple cultures?
Yeah, I mean, certainly it's a challenge. We have a centralized marketing team, which is where I'm at, and we also have what we call country managers, country communication managers, who help us connect the dots into those local regions. So a lot of the stuff that we're doing right now is still in its infancy. We're localizing and translating content. And sometimes, it doesn't resonate as well in a certain country. So we're learning on what types of things we could do to basically bring our brand promise to life in that region. So we have some good examples of this. Like in Singapore, we're actually very prolific in Singapore. We have some of our best leading edge factories sit in Singapore.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's some very, very interesting local stories and angles that we can do in that region that I think will resonate much better there than it would, say, in another part of the world.
Oh, that's really such an interesting concept, just trying to manage the complexity of all that. So where do you think content marketing is going over the next 5 years? Put on your futurist hat there,
Yeah,
Dan.
I think it depends on who you talk to. I think it depends on the company you're talking to, because everyone has a little bit different need. For us, I can tell you, it's going more towards personalization. So we're really going to move towards having much more personalized content, so that when you come to the Micron.com, for example, we know who you are, and we can then serve up content that's more specific to you, that resonates with you. So I think that's really where we're going over the next couple of years.
Wonderful. Well, Dan, I want to thank you so much for taking this time right before the holidays to share your insight, experience, and just your thought leadership, I would even say. So thank you so much, Dan.
Hey, thanks, Kevin. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I want to thank everyone out there for joining us today as well.